Hey, Rocky fans, this is episode 2 of Going the Distance. This is Ruben speaking, and we have
Ryan.
in the other corner.
In the other corner. Wow, the bell hasn't even rung yet, and we're already going with the boxing puns.
The gloves are off.
The gloves are off again. Here we go. I hope you guys are ready to go the distance.
Did you remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm actually asking the audience too to follow us on this journey together. Finished listening to episode 1 maybe 5 minutes ago or 5 days ago. We left off in the pet store when Rocky and Adrian met for the first time on screen.
That kind of almost ends Act 1. So what happens after that?
Right after the pet store scene, we see him do his secondary duty as a loan shark collector on the docks.
Yes.
The thug. And I just want to say that Rocky makes for a terrible loan shark collector. As we see throughout the series, he's got a heart of gold. Mm-hmm. He really can't do what Gazzo wants him to do, which is break this guy's thumbs who owes money. Chases down a guy. He acts a little tough at first. So when you first see him, like, oh boy, this is a strong guy. This guy's obviously very scared of him. The guy that owes money. As he makes a threat to break his thumbs, it doesn't happen. He doesn't even collect all the cash. Doesn't take the guy's jacket that he offers him for money. If you want to play in the band, you got to pay.
Yeah. It set the tone for the fightings for the ring, which may have upset people for Rocky 5.
What do you mean by that?
Because he had the opportunity to beat this guy. A lot of boneheads would have. If you were to generalize, if you were to picture like a UFC fighter, the guy would have punched the guy. Wouldn't have shown that restraint.
But I think what it was too was Gazzo he wanted Rocky to break the thumbs. I think if Rocky came back and said, Mr. Gazzo, he didn't have all the money, so I broke his thumbs. I don't think he had the heart to do that to another individual. That wasn't in him. Because Mr. Gazzo said, when I tell you to do something, you need to do it because it makes me look soft, it makes me look bad. As a loan shark collector, people are going to take money from me, and they're going to think I don't have to pay back because the thug that comes to collect isn't even going to break thumbs. So Mr. Gazzo he legitimately wanted thumbs to be broken. Mm-hmm. But we see here, though, that Gazzo likes Rocky. So it's a weird combination of, we don't know what their history is, but they must be friends from high school or something, because he's the worst loan shark collector, and Gazzo wants to be a legitimate loan shark guy. But he hires his friend or someone that he's got a soft spot for, even for Rocky, his own thug.
Well, it shows that he's likable.
Likable. Even amongst the thugs, yeah.
Yeah. He has humanity and pushes him away from his loan shark career.
I do like the little sequence when he's asked to take another name, which the name was Del Rio. In the back of the car, Rocky's taking out his notepad, pen, and he puts on these glasses. And I don't know why it kills me every time that he has to write down one name. He has the notepad and a pen, and he's got his glasses out. In the car, the name is never written down, and then they have the conversation outside the car. Even still, the name isn't written down. He asks Gazzo, how do you spell Del Rio? I always got a kick out of it that he needed the correct spelling of Del Rio.
Yes.
That somehow would help him identify. Somehow that would help him identify who the guy was that he was going to meet at the docks. I try to connect the real world is for the movie.
Yeah.
So even if Rocky got the wrong spelling, would he have gone to the white pages and gone through all the Del Rios with 2 L's and not just 1 L? And
R-E-O. Yeah.
So I always got a kick out of that. He wanted the correct spelling of Del Rio, so as he wouldn't collect from the wrong Del Rio in the docks.
It's a hat off to Stallone's strong writing.
Exactly. Those are little points. If you were given the task, Ruben, to write a boxing movie, you were even given the general outline of the Rocky movie. He's a down-and-out on his luck boxer. He's end of his prime. He gets a big shot with the champ. Go.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you have come up with the little
Well, first of all, Stallone didn't come up with a boxing movie. He came up with a love story.
Correct. And even more, he came up boxing was an analogy for his own acting career.
So, in a way, this is a rom-com because it's romantic.
It's romantic.
And there's humor in it.
And there's humor. And there's drama.
You should find one of those people that do the YouTube edits where they make one movie look like another movie.
Like a trailer.
Yeah, a trailer where they make The Shining.
The Shining is the coming-of-age drama, family drama film. It's a great.
Rocky's a rom-com. Just lost the other half of the audience with that.
Stay with us, guys. Hang in there.
What really kind of moves the movie forward when Rocky loses his locker?
Yes, the locker. Let's fast forward, if we will, to Creed. And I don't want to give anything away to Creed because it's still a fairly new movie. We're going to get to Creed later in our podcast, of course, don't worry. But there's another really interesting locker scene moment. So I find these locker room scenes very important in a boxing man's career. Here in Rocky 1, we see the scene, he goes to his locker. A humorous interplay happens here. You see Rocky take the combo, or take the lock, do his combination, doesn't get it. Does it again, doesn't open. Then he takes his hat off, and in his hat on a piece of paper is his combination. So he has that piece of paper in his hat ready to go at any time that he might happen, which at this time he did, forget his locker combination. It doesn't open. And then he grabs the fire extinguisher, smashes the locker open, he opens it up. What I love, so we have to know that this is not a white man's locker anymore. We've seen him do this, can't get his locker open. He smashes open the locker and he whips it open. What do we have there? A variety of pictures of the non-white females. So we know as an audience member, this is not... But what I find funny, why couldn't it have been? He could have very well been into the ebony flavor.
Sure, it's an ebony and ivory situation.
Right.
Yes.
But it's 1976. He's Italian. So we see right away as a viewer, those pictures probably weren't his, and we assume that's not his locker at that time.
Yes.
Of course, the little guy comes in. I forget his name. The guy who's like the janitor. Mm-hmm. Rocky asks, "Hey, where's my stuff?" I love the wording here. I talked about instamatically. Mm-hmm. Again, I love the words that they use in this movie, and maybe we're Canadian. We're not from Philadelphia. So maybe there's terms that they use all the time there that aren't used here, i.e. fella said they're hanging up here. And the Rocky says, "Mickey put my stuff on Skid Row."
Yes.
And I love how the term skid, like we know what he means by saying that. There's a variety of bags hanging next to Rocky's. Those hooks on the wall is Skid Row, meaning...
He's out on the streets.
He's out on the streets.
He's not welcome. This is not his home.
He said, "I've been coming here for 6 years. That's been my locker for 6 years. He put my stuff on Skid Row." Then he asks, "Hey, where's Mickey? I gotta talk to Mickey." And the guy says, "Well, he's mad, or he's in a bad mood." And the Rocky says, "Well, he's always in a bad mood." Great introduction right there we get a little bit of information of how long Rocky's been at the gym. He's really now, the one thing that he loves is boxing. He doesn't even have this anymore. He doesn't even have the gym to go to, Mickey's gym. So the owner, Mickey, puts his stuff out on Skid Row. So he's on the outs.
So he's sucking at his job.
Sucks at his job.
Has a crappy apartment.
A
little trivia here for you. When Mickey goes to Rocky's place and they're talking through the door.
Right, we are moving a little bit forward.
In that moment where he says that the place stinks, that was improvised.
That's awesome.
Because the bathroom really stunk.
Somebody drop a deuce?
No, it was a real. It wasn't a set. It was a real.
It was a real apartment.
It was a real apartment, and it really stunk.
Well, it's legitimately a really dingy looking apartment. So I thought there was just a set director's. Well, they might have added to it, of course, with stuff, but
they had no smell-o-vision back then.
Stallone, in that moment of anger, talking about his apartment, since this whole place stinks, it really did for him.
That's the moment in life. When this happened, when he lost the locker, he was going back to a place that stunk.
I love those little things that, good as a script is, sometimes in movies, those actors will, if they're allowed to, now you got to keep in mind, some directors and writers will give you no freedom. In fact, I don't know if you're a fan of Dexter.
I love his work.
He does a great job out there. I've just started watching Dexter. I'm in the 3rd season, and I went to the trivia page for Dexter because I enjoy the trivia without the spoilers. For Dexter, there is absolutely zero improvising by the actors. Zero. So, which I actually kind of like, and I'll tell you why I like it. It's because I also enjoy shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm where it's all so it's its own unique talent to completely improvise dialogue and story. For a show like Dexter, what I actually kind of like about that, so when I'm watching the acting and I'm watching the talking, I find it intriguing that it's exactly what the writer wrote on his computer. So when the script came to these actors, every little word and movement they're told to do, which I give complete credit then to the people that created the world. Be interesting to know what was improvised, and I actually don't know what was improvised in that movie, so it's kind of cool to hear that.
Well, actually, there isn't. Do you want to hear another trivia? When he's running down the street doing the training, they had no movie permits.
That's right.
It was guerrilla shot, and the guy that throws him the fruit.
Oh yes, I love that scene. He tosses him a fruit, turns to catch it.
That was improvised by the person who was truly not an actor, not an extra, the shop owner, and just threw him a piece of fruit.
That's America in 1976.
He did not know that he was going to be in Rocky.
Hey, no, he wouldn't even known who Stallone was.
No, he wouldn't have.
What I find interesting is during that running scene through the market, nobody chased after him. Nobody said, "Hey, Rocco." Nobody would have known who this person was going to be. Later, as the movies went forward, there's thousands of people behind where they're filming, watching their hero. And Stallone was talking about how when he walks down the streets of Philadelphia, cue Bruce Springsteen's music here.
Yes.
When Stallone walks down the streets of Philadelphia in his Rocky garb, but not filming, people will call him Rocky. And they're not being flippant. They're not being silly. They will treat him as Rocky
Philly does have a vibe. I've been there briefly. It does have a different vibe than going to Spokane, Washington.
That's character.
It does. We got a Philly cheesesteak there, and we got it in a spot where we wanted to go find a real Philly in the hole in the wall, to the point where it was like, I feel very uncomfortable. Fish out of water.
May I ask, were you uncomfortable because tables were dirty?
I did not have time to check, but it was a good Philly cheesesteak.
Right.
Yeah.
Were there other Mexicans there, or were they?
We were like white salt.
When we live in Western Canada on Vancouver Island, there's different cultures and people that we're not around.
Sure.
And actually, we'll refer to that in part 3. There is that cultural. I don't think it could fly in today's writing, but they refer to the cultural differences between black and the white. Because Rocky was trained by a white man for 2.5 movies. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert. And then
we don't know which half.
We don't know which half. But then for part 3, he's trained by I won't say who, in case you're not there yet, but he's trained by a black person. Rocky's actually kind of taught the black culture way to move in the ring. So it's actually addressed that there is a different fighting style to the 2 different cultures.
When I was there, I did stick out as a sore thumb. We asked the guy to take a picture of us. He said, oh yeah, sure. Just, really friendly. And then I had this feeling that, is he going to start running?
Did he?
He did not. While he still had my camera in his hands, he's like, man, this has been so tough, the economy. Wow. I'm really happy to be taking this picture for you. Would you mind just helping me out, because I've helped you out?
Okay. So right away it was
They saw me coming.
Right. So he took your photo.
Yes.
Let me guess. Did you give him some money?
Yeah, I found $1 or $2 to.
Because I guarantee you. Well, I shouldn't say it. I wonder what the alternate universe scenario would have been. What if you said
I wouldn't have had that picture.
No. I think the deal was you get your camera back if you give me some money.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you got the picture and your camera.
That's. You know what? We'll post that picture that I took on our Facebook page.
There you go.
Before you go on to the next topic, there was another improvised scene for the ice skating rink scene.
Oh yes, but we're not there yet.
I know we're not there yet.
I know, but that's a great story.
Okay.
The first date is a great story, so I save it. I like it. Okay. I know where you're going. It's interesting how, if you want, we can talk about it, because it gets me excited.
We already know about a black trainer 2.5 movies away.
Fair enough. Touche. So, the infamous first date at the ice rink.
I think he used infamous wrong.
Oh, sorry, famous.
Famous.
My bad. Infamous is bad fame. Bad fame. My apologies. Infamous, yes, because only the trivia part is it was bad luck for the crew that turned out to be fortuitous for the movie.
Okay, so why don't you fill us in?
Because of the low-budget guerrilla style for the movie, they didn't have the script called for a full rink of people.
About 300, apparently.
Right, and they had no money.
Yes.
Very limited budget. So this was guerrilla movie style movie. Like, for example, the lighting, they said they used all natural light. They didn't have enough money for stand-up lamps. So they used natural light. When it was dark, it was dark. When they used the sunlight, they said we used the sun because it was free. The ice skating rink scene on Thanksgiving Day was closed for the movie, but they couldn't afford the extras to skate around the rink for a couple days. They said, well, why don't we just film an empty rink and it's closed on a holiday?
Yes.
Am I getting there? Is that what you're getting?
Yeah, that's exactly...
So bad luck for the money part, but it's interesting how, let's say if the studio threw them, here's $100 million, make whatever you had on your script, but it actually made that scene better.
It does. And I think that's really a lesson in life, where you think that you might need X, Y, Z, and then it's going to work out, or then you're going to be happy, then it's going to be perfect. But when you're, backs against the wall, you can really come up with something, create a little magic. And that's what happened. If they had a bigger budget, it wouldn't have been so romantic, touching.
Yes. The
guy saying we got to go.
Yeah, I love every time he said 7 minutes. Stallone's face. Again, this guy was robbed. I'm biased. I'm completely biased. To me, acting is not just about yelling and crying, like they show in the Oscar clips.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean by that? And when they show the Oscar clip scene, it's the yelling, crying scene. But you were my daughter, and I can't believe you did this to me. Those scenes. It's. I find a lot of. And I never learned how to read. Yeah. This scene here where the guy off screen is yelling, 7 minutes to go, because he gave him the ring for 10 minutes, 8 minutes to go, or 6 minutes to go. When you go back and watch it, we should go back and watch that scene. Look at Stallone's eyes as he looks off camera to the guy like, stop interrupting my already limited time on this date. And I've got this flow going with this girl. I'm actually reaching out to her. I'm getting to her. I'm getting through to her. I'm making her laugh. So that was where less is more. Bad luck turned to good luck. If you hear dog barking, that is beyond our control. That's outside.
Is that your dog?
No, he's right behind you.
Oh, hey. Trivia. Do you know who won the Oscar
Best picture or actor?
actor in leading role?
I think I do. Can you give me the movie? I know it's kind of cheating.
I'll tell you the movies and the actors that were nominated.
Let me see if I remember correctly. The movie that won, I believe, was All the President's Men?
No.
Network.
Yes.
Network. Yes.
Not The Social Network with a...
No, not the Social Network. This was pre-internet. This was just the network.
Yeah, the movie was Network. The other nominees in movies was Giancarlo Gianni.
Oh, people still talk about that movie to this day.
Seven Beauties. No, he didn't win. He was just another nominee.
Oh, that was his name. I thought you were going to give me a...
No.
So these are the names of the people.
The
Okay.
person was Giancarlo Gianni. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Of Seven Beauties. William Holden of Network. Robert De Niro for Taxi Driver.
That's a tough one.
That
That's
is
a tough
tough.
one. Okay, I'll give him that. But he didn't win it.
No, he did not win. Peter Finch, also of Network. There was two leading roles
Wow.
from the same movie.
Has that ever happened before?
I don't
or
know.
after?
I don't know.
That's crazy to have two leading roles.
So we don't know. I don't know the movie Network.
Famous scene is, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Okay.
You've heard that? Something about that. The guy has a meltdown at the news network. And he says, I think I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's one of the...
Oh, interesting.
That's like the Yo Adrian of network.
Yeah. Faye Dunaway, William Holden, Peter Finch, Robert Duvall.
Is Robert Altman film, am I remembering?
Director Sidney Lumet or Lumet
Sidney Lumet.
for supporting actor. Do you know who?
Burt Young, of course. Was he not?
Burgess Meredith.
Oh, Burt Young wasn't.
No, Burgess. Burt Young as well.
Yes.
So there was two.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But supporting, I can see more than one, right? That's what
Yeah. Lead is
Lead is interesting to me that they had two leads.
because you only have one leader.
It's weird. I guess I wonder how they determine the equal amount of screen time. Or they both had 30-minute screen time, maybe. I don't know.
And Talia Shire.
Talia.
Talia.
I think it's maybe Talia. That's who knows? I've heard it pronounced both ways.
If she could call in and let us know.
Please do, Miss Shire. Please, our number is. Stallone did not win Best Picture, but can you imagine though? He wrote the movie. He was probably just as proud to have the movie win Best Picture.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't think he was even thinking actor at that time. He was probably legitimately like just an honor to be. Can you imagine? He went from being a thug in a Woody Allen movie, right,
Yes.
to now being nominated for Best Actor in a motion picture that he wrote.
Could have anyone really have done that justice?
What do you mean by that?
Stallone played Rocky.
Right.
Could anyone else have
Oh,
played?
the character.
Yeah.
Well, the names they tossed around was Burt Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, if you don't know who Burt Reynolds is, my young listeners, if you're so, please Google Burt Reynolds and even give him some credit and do Burt Reynolds 1975.
If you really want to get to know the man, Google
Playgirl.
Burt Reynolds bear rug.
Can you imagine Burt Reynolds in the ring?
No, like what body mass?
The physical physique aside, can you imagine these scenes, him on the ice rink? Well, ironically, they would have had a bigger budget with a bigger name. The reason why they had such a small budget given to the film, because they thought it was going to be a failure. So they wanted to lose a lot of money. So they said, we'll give you $1 million to make this film because we're going to lose it.
Crazy.
And it ended up making 100 times the budget.
We had Gene Hackman was considered for Rocky Balboa.
Again, a good actor.
Yeah.
So they're going for so what they're doing here is they're going for the Brad Pitts and the
A-lists.
A-list, the Tom Hanks, even the whoever it was. But it doesn't make sense. Again, Gene Hackman, great actor of the 70s and 80s and even 90s, great actor. But no, he could not do Rocky.
No. For Apollo Creed, do you know this? Ken Norton was a professional boxer, and he was set to play Apollo Creed.
I think he filmed some footage.
He dropped out 2 days before shooting.
Oh, okay. But the story basically of Carl Weathers, this is the, what do you call it, Cliff Notes version of the story. But I've heard Stallone give it in interviews a few times. But basically, as we know, he wrote the screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
The producers gave him pretty much open access to the whole movie making process. Have them, directing, casting. Stallone was in there, and as we know, Stallone went on to direct parts 2, 3, 4, 6. The only ones he didn't direct were Rockies 1, 5, and Creed. It's interesting that he was at the casting part of it, so when they were casting Apollo, he was there, which of course makes sense because he's going to play off this guy. Mm-hmm. So they're doing the read. So Carl Weathers comes in. Of course, Carl, and like the rest of the world, doesn't know who Stallone is. Carl Weathers, I don't even know what his position in acting was at the time. He came in and read the part for Apollo. And he's reading the part of Apollo with Stallone reading the part of Rocky. After the reading was done, they said to Carl, well, thanks for coming in. We'll let you know. But Carl asked, well, who's playing the part of Rocky? I'm just curious. And Stallone goes, well, me. And Carl goes, well, I thought you were the writer. He goes, well, I am. Why are you going to give me a real actor to play Rocky? Stallone then turned to the producers and said, he's perfect.
Yes, yeah. He did mention that, but not in that detail. So I appreciate that.
So Stallone, Stallone is the most self-depreciating individual. That's what's great about him, even in real life. He will never take accolades and say, oh yeah, that's me. He loves not playing the fool, but you know what I mean? He doesn't mind being the guy that maybe another type of actor might have been like, how dare he?
I'm sure somebody would have.
I'm the actor, writer. This is my show. He actually turned to the producers and saw this opportunity, said, this conflict, this energy, the fact that he already hates me, thinks I'm less than, was legitimately real. And it actually continued throughout the series.
I know.
But Stallone, he embraced it, but Carl really went with it.
Yeah, which is great.
For whatever reason. So I just find it interesting that even...
I'd love to hear Carl Weathers' side.
Oh.
Carl?
If you're having a hard time getting a hold of us, just talk to Miss Shire. She'll...
We'll buy you a sandwich. One thing I really was speaking in the last episode, I know we got to kind of move forward a little bit here. I thought you might like this. After Rocky's fight against Spider Rico, his payment for the winner share, $65 less $15
right.
for the use of the locker and the corner man, $5 for use of shower and towel, and 7% tax.
Correct.
In the end, he gets a total of 55.
Yeah, I remember the total being...
However, 7% of 65 is $455.
Right.
So subtracting that and the other deductions, he actually should have received $445, not $40.55. Spider Rico did receive the correct amount.
Interesting. So they did the wrong math for Rocky. So even... so he should have gotten more. Or he got too much. So in the movie, did he get too much?
He got a dime too much.
Oh.
He should have received...
So
he caught a break.
He could get a law for dime in 1976.
I think that's like a movie and a soda pop.
Yeah, well, no, now you're being silly.
Okay, well, movie.
Well, good for him. I'm glad he caught a break there.
This is the last kind of improv. It's not really improv. Can we mention the steps? You're hating this. You're hating.
Well, no, I don't want to bore our listener either in the sense that we're really not following any real structure here. We're going in chronological order of the movie so I can stay on track because I can talk. So to answer your question, I'll talk about the stairs. I'll talk about Russia. I'll talk about Mr. T. I'll talk about Hulk Hogan.
Come back to the stairs.
Okay, so the stairs to me is come on. The stairs is a character in the movie. We could talk a lot about it, but we'll get there.
Okay.
We're teasing the stairs, folks, but we're gonna get there.
All right,
it's coming. I lost track.
I don't know how we lost track.
That's weird. Oh yeah, his locker. His stuff's on Skid Row. Well, Skid Row. Have you actually seen Skid Row in concert?
Yes. I think we saw... Well, no, actually, did we see Skid Row? No, we just saw Sebastian Bach.
The lead singer of Skid Row was Sebastian Bach.
We saw him in a club in Surrey.
Yes, the day after my second son was born.
No, that was Megadeth. We saw Megadeth at the Commodore Ballroom the day after your second son was born.
We'll have to double check.
I promise you.
Okay.
We saw Skid Row.
No, Sebastian Bach.
Sebastian Bach in some...
It was a club.
It was a club. It was pretty sleaze.
But it's pretty crazy that we did, though.
Do you remember? I got to sing in the mic, or shout in the mic.
Which song was Youth Gone Wild?
Monkey Business.
Was it Monkey Business?
Yeah. Just you put the mic in the thing. Monkey Business.
How many people do you think were at that? I do remember that now.
I would say maybe
300.
It was maybe 3 to 5, somewhere in there.
But I had a great time.
It was a fantastic show. Well, that's like a childhood dream.
Right.
To see your band.
And this would have been, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, granted, the heyday of his career was definitely over, but not by a long time.
Like, we were early 20s.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a fun time.
It was a great time.
That was a really fun show.
His stuff's on Skid Row.
Yes. Actually, I saw him twice because he opened up for Guns N' Roses.
Yes. Well, yeah, I saw that tour as well.
Yeah.
But it was the intimate club there.
Yeah. Yes.
Which at the same time, I was a little nervous.
Yeah, it was.
I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
And so,
just Google Siri for those that.
We get to the meeting with Mickey, so we see the first. This is important. Now, as a viewer, you're now seeing the physical presence of Mickey, and he is not a big person. He's a little man, but he's got rawr, he snarls when he talks. He's got that snarly.
Vim and vinegar.
Yes, he goes up to Rocky approaches him and says, "Hey, my locker, man, what'd you do?" And Mickey really does brush him off, and is very rude. Bites Mickey in the butt later. So he tells Rocky, "Hey, you know what? You had your chance. You suck. I gave it to a contender, which is Dipper."
Where's Dipper now?
Where's Dipper now? He did not have Dipper Parts 5. Or there was no sequel to Dipper. Can you imagine if they, instead of doing Creed,
They did Dipper?
Creed, they did Dipper? Coming this Thanksgiving. Dipper. Dipper is a menacing fella. He was, again, of the non-white...
I did not notice. I don't notice those things.
Well, I don't notice them either, but I'm only letting... Maybe for those people who might notice, let them know that we too...
Is there must be a fan of the movie who is visually impaired.
Well, yeah, they call that the descriptive video. You've heard of that? Descriptive video?
Yeah.
I would love to be that guy. Rocky approaches Mickey. Mickey's sitting next to the ring.
Yes.
Watching a menacing black man practice punching.
How do you explain black?
I'm terrible about this sort of thing. Like, I'm okay if you call me white. Now, obviously, I'm not white like you paint the wall white.
Yeah.
You could say that I'm... You remember crayons?
Yes, flesh colored.
They have flesh. That's crazy. Like,
Yes.
like
Growing up, my crayon had said flesh on it.
Again, Google this. This is not a joke.
We'll put this on our Facebook page.
Isn't that crazy? And it never even occurred to me, because as a child, why would it? You don't see the world in black and white. You were given a crayon, and you have cherry red.
Yes.
You have black. You have white. You have white. You have yellow, and then you have flesh.
Flesh.
Again, what were we talking about?
Dipper.
Dipper. The one good thing about Dipper is, so he's getting, so Mickey has chosen Dipper to be his contender. I guess he's the best guy in the gym. The insult that Dipper throws Rocky's way as he's leaving is, "Yo, Rocky." Rocky turns around and goes, "Yeah, I dig your locker, man." And then Mickey finds it funny. He actually repeats it, "Hey, dig his locker." So we actually see a really kind of not a very, like, he's already kind of backing his player a little bit. They're already really kind of pushing Rocky out of the gym, out of his life.
Mickey and Dipper were forming their new bond.
They were forming a bond that would later be formed.
Yeah, but that's what happens, right? That kind of alpha male environment.
Right, sure.
Of, you're old news, get out of here, what are you going to do? I own the gym, and I'm bigger than you.
Authoritatively.
Yeah, authoritative.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Rocky decided, "That's it"? He jumps off the Philadelphia Bridge into the river there. I wonder what Dipper's career would have been like.
Short movie. It'd be called Dipper instead of Rocky.
Have you ever seen that on YouTube? It's a little funny clips they put together of if movies ended when the title was mentioned in the movie.
No, I haven't seen that.
Rocky would have been a very short film. I think it's literally in the very first few minutes, people are calling his name from the crowd there.
I always like it when bands somehow put their names in a song.
Let's be clear here. We have to be clear about the genre of music.
Sure.
Different genres, like maybe the non-white quality.
If you're a rapper, you mention your name.
That's standard.
It's standard.
That's standard.
Absolutely standard.
We listened to metal and rock and roll growing up. These bands growing up, but every now and then a band would mention its own name of the metal variety. I always got a kick out of that.
Yeah, like in Guns N' Roses, everything was roses when we held onto our guns.
Right, that was the closest they ever got. They threw Aerosmith did it in 1985 with Done with Mirrors.
How did that go?
They said the boys from Aerosmith.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they actually referred to themselves saying, so they're talking to a manager or something, the boys from Aerosmith.
I think Axl mentioned Slash for guitar solo.
Nope.
No. It's Lenny Kravitz and Mama Said.
That's right.
He says
Yeah.
Slash.
Poison, always mentioned. CC.
I think you have total class. You do not.
I think the idea is you do not mention your band's naming, but it's fun to go through.
Springsteen does for the E Street Band. Like, big guy on
Clarence
Clarence.
blew his eye out on stage. This guy Clarence is, boy, a black... Oh my... He is a large black man who plays the saxophone, who's now passed away, may he rest in peace. But he... playing the saxophone for years with the Easter... Years!
Yes.
But I guess a few years before his passing...
He blew so hard.
He blew so hard into the saxophone that his eye popped out. On stage.
That happens. I guess your body just wears. It wears.
I could never look at it the same.
Can you imagine the vision that you'd see? Like you'd be seeing like a bird.
Have you ever seen an eye popped out?
No, thank you. No.
It's exactly what you'd imagine it to be.
Really? Have
Yes.
you?
Yes.
How have you?
I don't think I've ever Googled it. I feel like the internet might have provided the image.
Oh, I feel sick to my stomach.
I had a kid in my class in elementary school.
Tim Yam?
No, not Tim Yam. Tim Yam. He stabbed me in the arm with a pencil. Not him. Jordy.
Jordy, name sounds familiar.
His name was Jordy. I forget his last name, which might be for good. But he had a glass eye.
Oh, okay, this is starting
Yes,
to ring about.
I'd never seen glass eye before because I was young. It was grade 2, 3, and 4. Sorry, grades 4, 5, and 6, or whatever it was. He had a glass eye, and his eyelid was actually halfway down a little bit, or his eye, yeah. So it kind of kept it in. His eyelid was kind of down to keep the glass eye in, but he would take out his eyeball every now and then, his glass eye, and just roll around in his hand and put it back in his eye.
So was it an actual ball?
Yes, it's a glass eye.
Okay, so some people will have like a contact that goes over.
No, he had the ball, so he had like an empty socket.
Interesting.
What happens with the eyeball is,
Oh, sorry.
you know that paddle game? The paddle game where you have the paddle, the ball attached to the string, and you hit the paddle?
Yeah, the ping pong on the
Well,
paddle.
just take away the paddle, and that's your eyeballs falling out of your head.
Wow.
Yeah.
So back to Rocky.
Dipper. I think we're...
This is the most attention Dipper has ever got.
Well, hey, he digged his locker. The next scene, Rocky goes to the pet shop. But what I find interesting, we already start to see a little bit more character with Rocky and how he deals with... Despite what he goes through, he actually deals with these things very well. So he goes to Adrian right away and says, I had a rough day at work today, type dialogue. I had my locker taken away from me. And the first thing he says after that is, that's okay. Lockers are trouble.
Yeah.
He goes, lockers are nothing but trouble anyways. I think I've had about $20 stolen from my locker in the last 6 years. And what I find funny is his segue makes no sense.
Yes.
He's saying lockers are a trouble. It's not a big deal because now that I don't have a locker anymore.
I now have $3.33 extra a year.
How he reasons that lockers are a trouble is now it's not a big deal. I don't have to worry about lockers anymore because my cash won't get stolen anymore.
Yes. When you're getting paid $40 a fight, an extra $3.33 is gonna take you.
But he's just trying to blow it off. It's his own way of feeling he's like, it really does obviously hurt him. Why would he even bring it up? I caught this. Rocky fans, you know what this is. The ball. You know the ball that he throws around?
Yeah.
I caught the first time we see it on screen.
Oh, okay. Well,
After his locker incident.
he throws it up in the store?
But he picked it off the counter.
Oh.
He didn't take it out of his pocket. I'll have to go back if you guys want to call me out on
He's
this.
a klepto.
Well, he walked out with the turtle food without paying for it.
Wow.
Because Gloria, the owner, said, hey, Rocky, you got to pay for that. When he's got the turtle food, when he leaves, it goes, crime don't pay.
Wow.
And he walked out with the turtle food and didn't pay for it. We know that he's not opposed to kind of skimming from the top a little bit.
Be hard to feed
turtles.
turtles.
Yeah, he found the ball, which makes sense. It would be a pet store ball.
Yeah, so probably for like a
Yeah,
cat
for the Cavs.
or something.
He picked it off the counter, played with it, and we see that ball for every film thereafter.
Wow, I did not know that.
I didn't know until because when I was watching this movie for the podcast. Now watching it with kind of like podcast eyes, so to speak. I was like, "There's the ball." He rolled it off the counter, and then he walked out with it.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. I always thought he was a good role model.
Well,
I think we should probably just end the podcast.
actually, yeah, guys, I hate that. Rocky has flaws. I think we should stop here. But that's what makes him human. That's what makes him relatable.
Interesting.
Is that he does have flaws. Every film, he has something that he kind of struggles with.
So do we all.
We do.
Yeah. Well, at least I do.
Talks to Adrian. He says to her, "Stand by for more jokes tomorrow." So this is something that is ongoing for him. That he will create or invent, as he says, new jokes to give to her the next day. All right. Well, after the pet shop meeting with Adrian, the next event in the movie is the first meet with Polly.
And we're going to have to do that for the following episode because we're running out of cassette tape.
Right.
I could see the little dark wheel on the one side.
Did you
getting
record
bigger.
over the last episode?
That record over it?
Yeah, on the cassette tape.
I might have.
Oh. You got to break that protective tab.
Yeah. Actually, before we end, I had a little memory today that's Rocky related. It might be out of sequence, but I remember being my daughter's age, which is 5. I had a little red Kuwahara BMX bike.
Yes, I remember the bike, actually. I do remember it.
Do you remember?
I remember being jealous of the bike in a sense because it was a cool little bike that I never had. I never had a cool little bike at
Do
that
you remember
age.
Dad coming home with 4 bikes in the trunk of our Buick? With a 1979 Buick LeSabre.
Yeah.
Bench seats.
Yep.
3 in the front, 3 in the back.
Yeah, family. This carried our family of 6. 2 bench seats in a beautiful Sabre.
Oh my gosh.
You sat in the middle front for years.
Years.
And all 4, I believe you yourself included, all 4 sons got their driver's license on that car.
I didn't get my driver's license in that car.
Oh, you didn't? Well, the
No.
first 3 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine was a Pontiac Grand Am.
You took the test in the Grand Am?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's how I was born. I cannot choose my birth order.
That might explain your driving. We learned how to drive at a beast. you drove the Grand. Okay,
Don't get me wrong. I drove the Buick, but I didn't get my license.
Right. But to go for the Buick, a '79 Buick LeSabre,
Yes.
to a 1992 Grand Am, Pontiac Grand Am, it was like a Stone Age
Well,
to.
No. It was like Flintstones to Jetsons.
It was amazing.
It went from an AM stereo to a CD player.
Yeah, the jump was almost shocking.
We would have a cassette stereo that we'd bring into the car for our family vacations.
Right. It only had AM radio. It only had AM radio.
So, anyways, I'm writing on. Do you remember the cassette player that we had, a Fisher Price cassette player?
Yeah, I do.
I had. I'm sure I didn't own it, but I put the Eye of the Tiger music, the cassette in there. And I
Nice.
put it on the handlebars, and I went riding around on our street, like full blast to 10. Eye of the Tiger, going really fast. Some neighbor heard and saw me doing this, and just howled laughing. I was so embarrassed. I just kind of quickly, even quicker,
But he might have thought it was cute or fun.
Well, yes, but I was
But as a
5.
kid,
For me,
you're like-
I was like, I'm the real deal.
Right.
Like, I had the Eye of the Tiger. I was going for it. I had the music playing,
Well, I can't wait to talk about Rocky 3. They're all good.
They're all good. We'll talk about Paulie, though, next time. Act 1A has been done. We'll
Yes.
do it as Act 2B in the next, and then 3-ish after that.
Everyone got that?
All right. Ding, ding, ding!
Ding, ding.